grace and peace to you. I have done all the filming, but mislabeled the day. This is day 19, not day 18. Just didn't want to cause any confusion and wanted to correct what I said in the video. So forgive me. God bless you. It's day 19. Hi, Bidwellians and beyond. God bless you, and welcome to day 18 of our Lenten meditation and Daniel fast, not strict. I want to repeat a recipe I did on day 17, I believe, or 16. I can't remember which day it was. It was brought to my attention that the video went straight to the end of the recipe. So you didn't see the process, you didn't see the cooking method, and you just saw the finished product. What I made was grits, but in a different manner. And the reason why I chose grits is because grains need to be a part of our diets. Grains are very beneficial to us. You get tired of eating oatmeal, and so grits is an alternative. Now, I know lots of people don't like grits, but I just want you to consider this recipe. I've never tasted anything like them, and I owe it all to Elder Phyllis Oliver, who taught a few of us how to make grits her way. So Phyllis, I'm sure they won't taste like yours, but I still think it's worth trying in this way. So there are a couple of ingredients that I want you to have. So of course we have our box of grits. These are old-fashioned grits, so these are not the minute grits. Take a little longer to cook, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes more, depending on how you like your grits, the consistency. As always, I use my Smart Balance non-dairy butter. Healthier for you, especially during this time, during our Daniel food fast. And this is what's called a broth base and seasoning. It's chicken flavored. It doesn't contain chicken product. And so while we're on the fast, this is a very good alternative for soup bases and, believe it or not, for these grits. You also need about half an onion. It's washed, it's cut, it's peeled, but we're not going to chop it. We're actually going to grate it. So we're going to begin in that way. Turn my stove on a little slow. And I actually take a cheese grater and I grate the onion because I want the onion to begin first. So I just grate the onion. You put as much in as you want. Of course, the more onion you put in, the stronger the flavor. And I want to go back to something about grains in our diets. Grains help, of course, with digestion and vitamin C. Grains also give us energy when we don't get it from sources like sugar and carbohydrates, high fructose syrups, and some fruits. Like bananas are good for you, but they have an awful lot of sugar. But for this, I'm going to just continue to grate. You want this onion to be very fine. You don't want chunks of onion floating around in your pot. You just want to grate it. That's good enough for me. So while the stove is on, I'm just gonna let that grated onion sit there. Now it also will have just a little bit of water. I want a little bit more, so I'm gonna grate a little bit more in here. And again, nothing fancy. You have everything I have, you have in your kitchen. If for this, If you have bouillon cubes, you know, you got to use what you got. But if you can find this, again, I got this in Giant Eagle. And so it's not a specialty item. It's just something that you can use for this. Now, as that continues to simmer, I take just enough water to cover the base of the pot. I don't put all my water in until it's boiling and ready for me to cook the grits. I don't know if you can see this, but that's about all the water I have in here until this cooks. So now, this is what the seasoning looks like. It's just powder. And it's not as dense as the chicken base you would buy that's real chicken base. It's a little bit less dense. And I put in 2 tablespoons. And the kind of tablespoons our grandmother measured with, not actual measuring spoons. And so now I've got the onion. I've got the chicken flavored base. Less sodium. Now I'm going to add my butter. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon. And then I'm going to bring that to a boil. I want that to boil before I put the grits in. The creamier the grits, the more water you use. Grits have the ability to soak up any amount of water that you want to put in. But the first thing you want to do is you just want to make sure that everything, your butter's melted, your onions are barely seen because you don't want chunks floating around. You want this to be smooth. So we're letting that boil. I'm gonna help myself and put some of this stuff up. In the meantime, while that's boiling, because we know a watched pot never boils. And so as a matter of fact, I'm going to turn that up a little bit. And let that boil. These days, with the price of food, you want to make sure you're preserving everything. You throw nothing away. You figure out how to use every bit of everything you got. And so I'm going to put my onion in my refrigerator, put my grater in my sink, all while I'm waiting for this pot to boil. And so praise God for our ancestors who knew stuff about food that we didn't know. Not only were they serving us the best they could, but they also kept us healthy. And so this water is just about boiling. I'm going to turn my stove down a little bit. Now, I put in, because it's just John and I, so again, I cover the bottom of the pot. Because again, no matter how much water I put in here, these grits are going to be able to soak it up. At this point, nothing, the grits have already soaked up all that water, but that's a little too thick. So now I'm going to add about a cup of water. And I'm going to be careful to stir, because if you don't stir grits, you will have big lumps in them. And so now, forgive me, my water is going. I'm going to continue to stir to let the water soak up the grits. Once you get done with this, You can add shrimp to this if you like. You can have catfish with this if you like. It's wonderful. You can eat them just like they are. Because of the way Phyllis taught us to cook these grits, I normally, if I'm having grits, I gotta smother it in cheese or something else, or butter. I gotta have a piece of toast because I really don't like grits. But with this recipe, I can eat them just like they are. I'm going to continue to stir and bring them to a boil. Make sure they're at a place where they can cook while the water is being absorbed. Again, I wish you could smell this. This is absolutely wonderful. And again, you can do so much with this. We don't want to talk about bacon and we don't want to talk about sausage, but we can after the Daniel fast is over. But it's absolutely delicious. Now, you saw in the last video that I showed you the finished product. But just to show you how easy it is, I'll show you again once these are done. Now remember, these are old-fashioned grits, so these aren't minute grits. They take a little longer, but it's okay. And once you see your water absorbing, the water is absorbing in these already, and so I know it's not going to be long. But the most important thing is to stir them so that you don't get the lumps. So I'm going to let that cook a little bit. I see it's boiling already. And voila. Grits are done. And this time I'm going to show you directly from the pot. Here we are. Absolutely delicious. And yes, they have a yellow tint to them because of the chicken-based seasoning and because of the butter. Butter will kind of sort of turn the grits from white to like an off-white, but the chicken-based seasoning will actually turn it more yellow. Delicious. Even if you don't like grits, I dare you to try this because this is wonderful. Thanks for letting me repeat a recipe. Let's move on to our hymn and our meditation.
Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the King. Truth is, I'm tired. Options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you? I'm all churched out, hurt and abused. I can't fake what's left to do. Come on. Truth is, I'm weak. No strength to fight, no tears to cry. Even if I tried, but still my soul refuses to die. One touch will change my life. Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn in pieces. It's my offering. Lay me at the throne. Leave me there alone. heart's torn to pieces. It's my offering.
Let's begin our meditation. Remember to sit in a comfortable position. Make sure if you're laying down or you're sitting up that your back is straight, that you're in a place where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes, where you feel safe and comfortable. Remember that if your mind wanders, we just come back to the breath. We have patience with ourselves. And we realize that that happens, and it happens often. And so, with your eyes open and with our hearts prepared, deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, gently closing your eyes. Immediately you turn your attention to your breath, its natural pattern and rhythm, the rise and fall of your chest, your stomach, your lungs. Each breath expresses gratitude and obedience to God, who designed our bodies to breathe without our conscious effort. Being aware of your surroundings, so knowing where you are, knowing the reality of your being, you feel the weight of your body on whatever's supporting you, your chair, your bed, your mat, your couch, laying there in complete safety and comfort. A little gratitude, because at least for the next few minutes, you're not rushing to do anything. This is time for you and God alone. We thank God for this time. And so, in the brightness of God's light and love, we go back into the inner court, dressed in our royal robes, expressing our royalty and our status as priests. We walk up to the table, and again we see the 12 loaves. Our first loaf was the everlasting covenant representation. The second loaf was the provision representation. The third loaf was the enormous gift of life. And this time we're at loaf number 4. And when you handle this loaf, it says communion. Believe it or not, we will celebrate communion tomorrow in our worship service. Actually, it is today. Only God would place us at a table with a loaf marked communion, and it is actually Communion Sunday. No coincidences, no accident. Sit for a moment and remark with God, priest and king. As you handle the loaf, what we consider a loaf can take many different shapes and forms. If you see the picture of the bread on the table that is provided in the video, the bread literally looks like pancakes. A loaf and a cake of bread were synonymous. And so, if you can imagine one of the cakes of bread in your hand, and you see the word communion, at the table, I want you to think of communion in a different way. For this meditation, think of what it means to be in co-union with Christ. We are in Christ. Christ is in us. He is our priest and mediator. He is our high priest and mediator. We are the royal priesthood, but we are of Him and in Him. He is in us and of us. He is God, the very God. He was flesh. He was with us. He is Emmanuel. We are in union with Him. And so, standing at the table, we celebrate our co-union. You cannot fail. You cannot fall. You cannot be separated. You are like the cake of bread that you hold. You are thoroughly baked, and there is no possible way to separate the ingredients that went into that cake of bread. It is a symbol of your co-union with Christ. Celebrate that. And now return to the breath. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Gently open your eyes. Celebrate your co-union, a baked cake. Grace and peace.